This one for WWE champions. Pay to win like every day, yeah.
I don't play mobile games.
Funny how they still think I'm a broke man.
Then I'm broke.
Even though I be pulling Hogan's. I spent like 40 grand on a couple thousand pictures of some sweaty men.
I want to talk about this big news story because this is something that I've been talking about for a very long time. And every time I mention it, I get a lot of people who they come back at me and they're like, oh, Phil, no. You see, you're full of it. You're angry because you're not an insider in the industry and you're not one of the selected few that gets everything for free and gets everything early and yada, yada, yada. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to explain something to everyone before we even begin with the news story, so you have a frame of reference, okay? I used to be a very prominent YouTuber. It was a long time ago, but I was actually regarded as one of the top YouTube gamers in the world. I was like maybe arguably top 20 channels for gaming at one point. I was never as big as the biggest, but definitely people came to YouTube to watch me play hot new games, to cover them and see what they were on release day. They would want to see my playthrough before they made a judgment about playing a game. It was a long time ago, all right? It was. But it was absolutely black and white truthful. I was one of the well-known guys. Back then, things were very different from today. There was no opportunity whatsoever for you to get early access to a game. Instead, everyone was on equal footing. You had to go to GameStop. You had to go to your local store, whatever it was, to buy the game physically. You couldn't even get these games digitally at the time. You actually had to go buy a physical copy of a video game. Now, I'm talking the years that I started, so probably around 2009, all the way through arguably 2014, 2015. This is how it happened, okay? It was around 2015-ish that everything started to go digital. Now you could pre-order games online. You could get everything loaded to your console early. And this also is when the practice of certain people getting early access to games becoming commonplace. But before that ever happened, everyone was equal, right? You had to pre-order the game. You had to get in line whenever your local store opened. You had to pick up the game, come home, boot it up like everyone else, and then you got to play it. The only people who got early access copies were actually established gaming journalists. Now, I say that loosely like this today because today that criteria is very loose, but back then, you actually had to work for one of these major publications, IGN, GameSpot, one of these things that everyone knew. Then you would get a game early, you'd review it early, but everyone else had to buy it. Me and everyone else on YouTube, we weren't getting stuff early, all right? And it was a very different era, okay? Everyone was on equal ground. If you worked hard to pre-order, get there, get home, get the game booted up, and start uploading right away, you would get the day one boost in attention and views because of your hard work. And it was really equal to everyone, when you could actually do that. And I was one of the guys known for always having that hot new game on release day, putting out the playthrough within 1 to 2 days. I was done with the game, and then I was on to the next, and you could see an early playthrough of that game right on YouTube and judge for yourself if you wanted to buy it. That was where I made my name back in the day. I was the guy who was kind of a Joe Average gamer. I wasn't great at the games I played, but I could show you a representation of what it would be like for someone without any prerequisite knowledge of a franchise to jump in and see if you would enjoy it at face value or not. Now, that was a lot of different times ago. You know what I mean? Like, very different. Very, very different from how it is today. Today, in the modern era, you may notice it's very rarely when anyone gets to play a game on release day and no one else does. In fact, I was just talking about Street Fighter. There's already people who have the Street Fighter patch. They have Akuma. They have all the balance changes. They're playing it already. Huh? It doesn't come out for another week and a half. Why does a select group get access to this and get to make content of it, but not everybody else, right? Every time there's a new game, you always have certain content creators and streamers who just have the game early. And they're able to put out streams of the game, put out videos of the game, early impressions of the game, reviews of the game, early. Can you get the game? No, but they can. What's up with that? Well, what's happened is the games industry has changed. It used to be, hey, if we put out a good game and the journalists review it early, we get a little bit of a popularity boost and people will run out and buy our game. Instead, what they realize now is that they can get monstrous amounts of free press from people by giving them the game early. And the thing is, it's kind of this, what's the word? you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of a relationship. It's not necessarily parasitic, but there's a word where it's like two things working together, and I can't remember what that exact word is. I'm sure someone will say it in the chat now, but that's what it is. It's like if the game company gets over and the content creator gets over, then everyone wins, right? So how does this work? Well, first of all, you have to be a symbiotic. People are saying it's symbiotic. There you go. Symbiotic relationship. That's what it is. You have to be of a certain stature or a certain amount of viewership. Is it a huge criteria? No, it's not. I can tell you right now, there are people who have less views than me who are in these agreements and relationships with game companies, okay? I know it for a fact. I've seen some of them. I've seen some of their content and their videos. Their streams and videos get less viewership than me, yet they get everything early, okay? What they need to do is they reach out to these PR agents in the industry. Now, these PR agents are on social media. They have ways to reach out. And all you do is you say, hey, here's my channel. Here's my viewership. Here's the games I've covered. If you want to see the style of content I do, I'm interested in such and such games. Let me know. And these people work as middlemen between game publishers and content creators. And they'll send you, you know, a bunch of information about, oh, what about this game? What about this game? What platform would you like this game on? What about this, right? So after you get all of that information hashed out, they will actually send you games early and for free, okay? So you might say, wow, that's a win-win. I'm a content creator. I get a game early and for free, so I don't have to pay for it, and I get it before everybody else. What's the drawback of that? Well, here's the thing. There's a drawback if you're an honest person, okay? Literally, there's a drawback if you're an honest person. If you're a dishonest person who all you care about is personal gain, then there's no drawback at all. You're 100%, you're on clear, you're living easy, right? Easy street, right down the fucking yellow brick road. But anyone else, if you have actual integrity or moral problems, you know, with not being able to be actual honest with your audience, there's a problem. So allow me to explain. Okay? When they send you these early games, there is always an agreement you must sign in order to have access to these games. There is never a single instance where they will just mail you something and say, here it is. Okay? There's been a few instances for me that did happen, but that was because Machinima, my old partner network, had no fucking idea what they were doing. Sometimes they would mail me a game I didn't even ask for. They mailed me, I think, Rock Band once, or was it Guitar Hero? I didn't even ask for it. They just sent it to my house. I was like, what the fuck is this? You know? But other times, you are under a legal agreement of how you can cover that game. So let's just do a case in point. Let's say, for example, you were told you're going to get access to the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC for Elden Ring early. You're going to get it 1 week early, and you're going to be able to make content. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many people will watch my content if I get to play the game a whole week early? I will get a boost in views, boost in attention, likely a boost in support on the streams, in the videos. People will go crazy if I got to play Shadow of the Erdtree a week early, right? So absolutely, I'm going to do everything in my power as a content creator to be able to do that, okay? Now, this is a hypothetical. This has not happened. I'm just saying this is an example of what will happen. So you're working with this PR agent to hash this out. And the PR agent would say, okay, what platform do you want it? Blah, blah, blah. You work all that out. And then they will send you an agreement. And the agreement will usually read to something like this. So you agree by accepting this agreement and the copy of the game that you will only put out such and such content in such and such a way in such and such an order so as not to massively spoil or in a way that does not hurt the game. What does that mean? Well, first of all, a lot of these games have timing of when you can do things. They'll first allow you to put out an early access teaser. Maybe you can only play the first 2 hours of the DLC, and then you can't upload or stream anything else. That's your limit. Then you get in trouble if you go past that. Okay? You're able to put out an early impressions video where you can only talk about the first 2 hours, you know, transparently. Then you'll be told there's a review embargo, and you can formally review the game on this date, which is usually a few days before the game actually has a full release for everybody else. Okay? So you can't stream the rest of it, but you can at least make a review of it. Then usually and typically, you're told you can still play the game early, maybe a day or two earlier than everybody else, and you have free reign to do whatever you want. So maybe it's like 2 days before everyone else gets it, you could play it and stream it fully, so you do. So what ends up happening in most cases, most new games already are in their entirety on the internet before the game even is available for public sale. Don't you think that kind of kills the whole idea of hype behind a video game? Like, do you remember the days when there was a big game release and everyone ran out to play it on day one, and all of a sudden the whole internet was abuzz with talk about what you're experiencing in the game and the plot and the secret boss and stuff like that? Now, literally the entire game is on the internet early. People know about how the game plays 2 weeks in advance because of the early impressions. People already know the first few hours of every game. The entire game is there a few days early. So what exactly is the hype behind the game today? And the answer is there is none. These game companies, in their hunger to create hype for their games, actually kill all hype for their games with this practice. Back in the day, the reason that gaming journalists got copies of games early was a very good reason. Print medium. Back then, in order to get a game review, there was no full internet. So you had to go to the store and you had to buy Electronic Gaming Monthly, Game Pro, PlayStation Magazine, Xbox Magazine, PC Gamer. And those print mediums would need to get access to the game early so they could play it, review it, and print the copies of the magazine to ship to the store first so you could read the review and then judge if you want to buy the game on release day. There is literally no good reason at all for game companies to be sending early access to anyone. All it does is spoil the game and create an air of disingenuous content for the internet. Allow me to explain what I mean by that. If you are one of these content creators who gets games early, you're in the circle, as they would say. You know all the PR agents for all the big publishers. They know you. They start offering you things early. They start offering you access. Hey, we'll fly you out to an event. You can cover a game early. You know, you get basically it's the life, right? How many YouTubers that are big do you know that get everything early? They fly out to events. They do all this special hoity-toity stuff. Do you know why they get that? Because they're butt kissers. Because they literally agree to all of these agreements to get out and do good for themselves. But is it honest? Well, allow me to explain my take on this. Think of it this way. You get an early copy of a game. That game sucks. But you're told all you can do is 2 hours of gameplay. It's all you can show. All you can do is do an early impressions video. You can't review the game until a few days before it comes out. And then you get to stream that game 2 days early. If that game sucks, are you going to say in your early impressions that it really sucks? Or are you going to say, well, maybe there's some things I like and don't like. I can't wait to play more to find out. If you say the game sucks up front, even if it does, who's going to care about you covering the rest of that game? No one. No one wants to see you stream it early. No one wants to care about your review. You already said it sucked in the early impressions. So how many early impressions videos out there do you really think you're going to say this game sucks? Nearly none. There will be a few people who will break the mold and be honest, but you'll probably usually notice those people who do that are not the ones who get games early all the time. Maybe every once in a while they do, and then all of a sudden you notice they don't do it anymore, okay? We'll follow that in a minute. So already, if you know you're getting a game early and you're going to get this coverage, in the back of your mind, what are you thinking? Man, the more positively I talk about this game, the more people are going to want to see me play it early. The more people will want to see my review, and the more money I'm going to make. So why would I say it sucks? So innately, just the way that this relationship exists, it makes that person, that content creator, have a monstrous temptation to lie about the game. You see? Now, of course, they can always hide behind the fact that say, oh, well, it was just an early impressions. I didn't really play the full game or whatever. But it doesn't matter. There's the temptation will always be there. If you have personal gain and benefit from saying a game is good, why wouldn't you? Now, in addition to that, think of it this way. If you continue to get things early, you will continue to get early access, early preview videos, reviews, and then streaming it earlier than everybody else. That's going to continue to make you money. That's going to continue to allow you to have business success on the internet. So why on earth, unless a game really was a bad dumpster fire, why on earth would you have any incentive to say something was bad? And if you say games are good and these publishers now make money as a basis from your content, they'll continue to send you free stuff because they know, oh, you're their golden boy now. You're our money train. You're our ticket. If we give you early stuff, you make it look good, everyone goes out and buys it, and now we make money off of it, right? So it's this symbiotic relationship where you say stuff is good, you continue to get stuff early, you profit, they profit, and continue to send you the stuff early. That's the situation with these games, okay? Now, that's how it's always been. Literally, that's how it has been, okay? When you have review embargoes and you say you cannot actually talk about your feelings about the game till the day of the review, literally, that is a not so written but unspoken rule. You can't criticize a video game till the review date, okay? So let's say, again, Shadow of the Erdtree comes out, what, late June? What if I was told that I could review it 4 days before it comes out? I literally can only play the first 2 hours, and I literally cannot criticize the game during the 2 hours of gameplay because that's considered a review. I have to just play it and comment on elements of the game, like react to it, but I literally can't say this is good or this is bad. I have to just play it and then let the content speak for itself. And then when the review embargo lifts, I can release a formal review, and then I can give you my opinions on the game. But everything up to the date of the review embargo is literally a paid advertisement. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, how is it a paid advertisement if you didn't receive any monetary compensation from the game publisher? Because compensation doesn't have to be monetary. Compensation can be attention, views, and exclusive access. And that's exactly what it is. You are paid with exclusive access to a piece of content to then not talk honestly about the content until a certain date. That is called paid exclusivity. That's exactly what it is. It's a actual paid advertisement. So that is why you'll notice whenever these companies do these promotions and give these gamers this stuff early, they have to put, usually in the video descriptions, in the posts on social media, #ad. But the thing is, no one cares. Literally no one pays attention to that. They all just say, oh, look, so this big streamer who I know got a game early, let's go watch them play it. Unbeknownst to you, they literally can't be honest about what's in that content. It's all fluff. It's all advertisement because they can't review the game because that's a breaking of their terms of service or their user agreement with the publisher to get that game early. And this happens all the time, but no one pays attention to it, and we all just act like it's normal. It's because it's been normalized now. It's normal that people in the industry get stuff early and cannot be honest about it because it's an ad, but we just accept it, right? So these people who are the golden boys of the gaming industry get everything early, kiss its butt, make tons of bank doing it, continue that vicious cycle of over promotion for literal nothing. People keep throwing them fucking money and popularity, and then you get game after game after game that comes out that sucks shit, but you fell for the trap. That's what I hate about modern gaming. Back in the day, 10 years ago, it was all everyone on equal ground. Go buy the game. Go play it. Put the content up at the same time, and everyone can be honest. Today, it doesn't even matter if you're honest. There's already 10 to 15 people who have kissed the game's butt because they got paid to do so. It's a horrible, horrible slippery slope that we have slid the fuck down and don't realize we're sliding down. Okay? Now, you might say, why in the holy hell is Phil bringing this up today? Well, I'll tell you why. Because finally, for the first time, we actually have concrete evidence it's happening. It's not just speculation anymore, all right? It's actually concretely happening with this game, Marvel Rivals, okay? Marvel Rivals is a game, as I already stated, it kind of plays like Overwatch, only you control characters from the Marvel Universe. The Hulk, Thor, Spider-Man, you know, all these really cool, notable characters from, especially from the MCU recently. And it's a team-based game. And it's basically third person, but you sometimes go to first person to do like ultimate abilities and things like that. So people are currently playing it in the early alpha stage, meaning it's not even in beta yet. It's just alpha. They're designing the game based on, you know, feedback and the like. And right now, some streamers already seem to have keys and they're playing it and they're handing out keys to others on their streams. You'll find social media right now is full of posts about Marvel Rivals. Okay? But you might not actually realize what's going on. Well, guess what? Someone whistle blew. Someone spilled the beans. I'm going to read this directly from a tweet from a seagull. That's actually the actual address on Twitter, a seagull. Extremely disappointed in at Marvel Rivals. Multiple creators asked for key codes to gain access to the playtest, and they're being asked to sign a contract. The contract signs away your right to negatively review the game. Many streamers have signed without reading just to play the game. Insanity. They then posted up the actual screen grab. I'm going to read you the actual word-for-word part of the contract that people are required to sign to get this game early. Are you ready? Word for word. Section 2.1, non-disparagement. The content creator agrees not to make any public statements or engage in discussions that are detrimental to the reputation of the game. This includes, but is not limited to, A, making disparaging or satirical comments about any game-related material, such as in-game features, characters, or music. B, engaging in malicious comparisons with competitors, or belittling the gameplay or differences of Marvel Rivals, or providing subjective negative reviews of the game. Wait, huh? Did you listen to that final portion? Or providing subjective negative reviews of the game. It didn't say providing subjective reviews. It said providing subjective negative reviews of the game. Literally in the contract for Marvel Rivals to get alpha access, it says you can't criticize the game negatively. You can only say it's good. Now, this is a bold move, okay? Like I said, up until now, most of these game publishers have not put this into writing. It's been the unspoken rule, right? There were content creators who would do the early access agreements, get the game early, play it, and then criticize it, and then what would happen? The agreements would never come again. They would just be blacklisted from those services, and you'd never hear from that PR rep again to get access to another game. Oh, that's the guy that said our game wasn't good. Fuck that guy. I guess he just doesn't understand how the industry works, right? But in this case, they are outright putting it in the contract saying if you criticize our game, any portion of it, if you satirize it, if you compare it with another game in a negative way, if you say any part of our game is negative in a subjective fashion, you terminate your agreement and you lose access to the game, and likely you'll get blacklisted and never get access to games ever again. So I want you to think about that. Okay? Again, this is something that I've been saying for years and years, and everyone's like, oh, that's not true. Here it actually is in black and white. I read you the contract. I didn't make that up. I read it word for word. All right? This is where gaming is going because people have allowed that slippery slope to get steeper and steeper, and they keep flying down it at a rate. You ever see National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation where Clark Griswold gets on the sled, the metal sled, and he puts the lubricant on it, and he sits down, and he just careens forward like a rocket through town, and it burns a hole in his ass, right? That's what's happening right now in the games industry with this early access bullshit. Literally, we have gone so far ahead of anything acceptable or reasonable. People are literally getting early access and getting so many benefits to it. Tons of views, tons of cash rolling in because they are the exclusive people who get to play the games and do the early impressions and the early reviews, and they just reap the benefits, and the cycle continues. And you want to know the really sad fact about all of this, folks? Here's the really sad fact about all of it. All right, you ready? That was the wrong thing I just clicked. Most people have no problem with it. Most people think that this process is fine and dandy, acceptable, and should just continue. It's fine that people can lie to us about games, or at least be only half truthful about games so they can benefit. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So you're okay with being lied to. I just want to be clear, by the way. This actually helps me to figure out if I'm centered or not, which I'm not. Because now I'm definitely centered. There we go. You're okay with being lied to. You're literally okay with being told half-truths. You like the fact that there's content creators that every day they turn on that camera and they turn on their broadcast, they're just advertising to you. That's fine. As long as you get a little laugh out of it or you're entertained. You're not getting any worthwhile content. It's literally just for money, just a shill, but you're okay with this. And there's people out there who are like, yeah, that's fine. That's what you want. This is what I was against back in the day. When I first started on YouTube, I strongly criticized this. I said, anyone who's just totally into advertising and getting paid stuff. Remember, this goes back. Let me go back to my regular screen now. This goes all the way back to the days of, now the camera's not centered. So that's really weird because that should have been. This goes all the way back to the days when I called out Tobuscus. Toby Turner. You guys remember Toby Turner? No one else does. But Toby Turner, who's now fallen from grace and no one watches or likes anymore, at one point was known as one of the big YouTube gamers, even though he wasn't a gamer. He was a guy who made stupid songs and then started playing games only when they were monetizable. He was actually one of the worst when it came to that. Like, he literally did everything for money, and that was it. So, back in the day, he decided that he was going to do all these ad campaigns for video game companies, notably EA Sports. EA Sports. The dude has never touched a fucking game in his life, a sports game. But he got a big contract because he was prominent on YouTube. Literally, all his ads are just shilling the game, you know, doing stupid jokes. And those ads are running on other gamers' content, including mine. And I called it out. I said, get these fucking ads off my videos. They have no place being on my videos. Number one, they're shilling a product the guy doesn't play. They're completely dishonest. The guy's not even a fucking gamer. This is blatant fake advertising, saying something that is real is not. And this doesn't belong on YouTube. Okay? The sad fact is, that's a lot of content today. Back then, that was, you knew that was an ad when that ran. Today, the content people were putting out is ads, constant ads. And people are so ignorant because they, oh, it's just the industry now. No, it's not. There's real people making content. They just don't get paid tens of thousands of dollars for it. Every single time they boot up a game, they don't make $1,000 because they're normal fucking people like you and me. They're the ones who are going to be honest about a game experience, but they don't get the game 2 weeks early because they didn't kiss butt and they care about being honest and transparent with their audience. They don't want to lie to get ahead and make the bag. But this is what the whole industry has become. This is just so fucking sad. I've been talking about this for over a decade. And everyone always says, I'm crazy. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I got a tinfoil hat on. We literally have the evidence today. It's in the fucking contracts now, saying you can't be negative about the game if you play it early. I don't know what other evidence people need. Honestly, it's now there in black and fucking white. Anyone who's getting everything early, why are you supporting them? Can I ask you that honest question? If you know someone who's a content creator who literally, they get everything early, special treatment, right? Like there's some fucking special snowflake on this planet that's better than you, and they get everything early. Why the fuck would you support them? Do you not understand how this industry works? That's exactly how it works. Do you think that the celebrity in a commercial that's endorsing a product has ever fucking used that product before? No, they got a paycheck. So what's the difference between that and this? Literally nothing. But because there was someone who used to be an honest content creator, but now has become a paid shill, you still think they're the same that they used to be. Folks, people change over time. They do, for the far worse. And sometimes for the far better. But in this case, so many people have realized, oh man, I can't be honest on the internet anymore and make $1. So I got to make drama content to hurt people and have all kinds of gossip and shit that's harmful. But hey, I make $1, so it's all good. Man, I can't just be honest about games anymore. I got to just fucking lie. I got to take every paid promotion and opportunity that I possibly can. Then I'll be one of the insiders in this industry. And I'll just keep getting bags left and right, left and right. And every game comes to me for free and I get everything early. right? So why on earth would you ever watch a moment of those content creators? Right? You know they're either under a direct agreement like they are with Marvel Rivals, or there's the unspoken agreement. Sure, they can be honest, and the moment that they are, those companies stop working with them. Because I'm sure you probably know of a content creator that was getting stuff early, and all of a sudden they don't get it anymore. That's why. They were probably honest, and they got blacklisted by one of these PR agents saying, oh, that's the guy that doesn't play ball with us anymore. Don't send him nothing. Send it to the guy over there who kissed the game's butt and sold us thousands of copies, right? So there you go. And the thing, there's crazy people who they're okay, they defend it. I guess I'm just different. I'm cut from a different cloth than a lot of people. Really. Because when you say to me, why don't you take the bag? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I refuse. I refuse. Because I'm the kind of guy that I want you to be able to come to my channel every day and to know that the games I play, what I'm representing, is my true and honest feeling about that game in the moment. That's why when I'm doing things and I'm saying things that sound different from other content creators, there's usually a reason why. You know, I'm going to call stuff out regardless, because, listen, it doesn't matter to me if I say a game is good or bad. I'm not a big guy. I don't have clout, right? So it doesn't matter if I say a game sucks or a game is great. Yeah, a few hundred to maybe a few thousand people will care. That's a drop in an ocean, right? I have no impact. So I can be honest, and no one is going to say, oh, see, because he criticized our game, now we're in trouble. So, no. So it doesn't, to me, that's what I pride myself on, is that when you come to check out my content, you're getting my truthful feelings and honest opinions about a game I'm playing, and you can trust it. As opposed to literally anyone else who's getting all these opportunities and getting shit early. And then, just to go in line with that too, if these people who get this stuff early, all right, even if they're not playing a game early, I want you to think about what's going through their head. Well, gee, when I say positive things about games, good things come to me, right? So, just perhaps I should say positive things about a lot of games, and I'll get a lot of opportunities. How many people out there, they're known for covering a certain type of game, all of a sudden they're covering a different type of game out of nowhere? Why would that be? All of a sudden, a person is playing a game they literally never would have played before on their channel, and they're kissing its butt saying it's good. Why do you think that is? Because paycheck's involved. It may not be monetary, but you have to understand that attention, views, clicks, ad revenue, stream contributions, as a result of having early access to products, is all a factor here. All a factor. And that's the thing. It kills me that there are people who have no problem with this. Really. You have no problem with this whatsoever. You are okay with, say, 50 people being the only prominent content creators on the internet that get anything. And literally they get all the views and all the attention because people are so fucking dumb that they just sit there and watch paid advertisements all day. Meanwhile, everyone else out there that wants to help you and give you true opinions on games and feedback so you don't spend money on crap, right? People who actually have passion for their work, and they do it because they feel there's meaning behind it, not because they're making a bag today. Those people, forget them. Who cares about them, right? They're nobodies. Keep watching the same top 50 people who already are rich, and are rich because you let them advertise to you every day, right? None of this makes sense to me, but it's probably because that's the kind of person I am. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and some people, they're just so different. Like I said, maybe I really am cut from a different cloth, right? I'm the guy who literally refused to take that bank. You know what I'm saying? I refuse. I won't do it. I still get them to this day. These indie games a lot. I get contacted by indie game companies. We want exposure for our game. Will you play our game on your channel? Contact us to discuss a rate. A rate? A fucking rate? You want me to actually discuss how much you have to pay me for me to play an indie game on my channel? And get, what, a few hundred views? It's insane. That's. That's how this whole industry works. So anyway, yeah, this is, again, the first time that I even know of. Now, the thing is, this might have very well been happening all along, but because people wanted to keep it under wraps, so therefore the money train keeps rolling in, they never mentioned it. But someone whistle blew on Marvel Rivals and posted their terms of service up. Or not the terms of service, the engagement agreement up on the internet. And now people are reading this and saying, holy shit, right? Like, that's nuts that that's actually in there. You literally cannot say anything negative about the game. Now, what's funny is that there's people responding, oh, this is a huge no-no. This might violate Steam terms of service. We might have the FTC get involved. As long as these contracts are up front, meaning you have to read and sign this contract before you play the game, I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. At all. It's a legal agreement, and you agreed to it to play the early access to the game. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, is there something morally wrong with it? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, there's something horribly morally wrong with it. Anything you do in life and you're told you can't actually speak truthfully about it, there's a good reason. People want to hide the truth to get ahead. And you know what the reason is. Same thing. I mean, just to give you an example, I've talked about this many, many, many times over the years. I'll mention it again to show that I'm not just someone who's making this shit up today. As early as in the 2000s, when I was part of the competitive fighting game community, I was the same kind of guy. In the mid-2000s, they were testing the GGPO netcode, the first ever rollback netcode. Called it out on SRK forums and said, I don't know about this netcode. Yes, it looks better than delay-based netcode, but I'm getting a lot of frame skips, i.e. rollback. Before they called it rollback, we called it frame skipping. And also, I'm seeing a lot of dropped inputs. And I kept getting my posts deleted. And then eventually, they suspended me from the site. And I said, why are you deleting my honest criticism of your netcode? Oh, because we're trying to sell the netcode to Capcom and other game developers. And if they see that negative stuff you're saying, they're not going to want to buy it. So we're just going to keep, moderating you because you won't shut up about it. Oh, so you want people to play GGPO and only say good things so you can make money. You don't want people to honestly criticize it, which is what you said up front. You lie. So there you go. It's been like that since, 20-some years ago. I've been through this shit. And that's what kills me about it, is that human nature isn't changing. People just want to get ahead by any means. And I've had enough of it. At least now I have an avenue to talk with people about it. And listen, there's 300 people on this podcast right now? Yeah, there's about 300 people on the podcast right now. There'll be probably a few hundred watching it after the fact. My detractors will make an echo chamber and they'll fucking talk about it too. And they'll spin it and say, oh, it's because Phil is jealous. It's because Phil is this and that. I'm not jealous. I've literally always been like this my whole life. Hard work is how you get ahead, not playing the game of butt kissing. I've literally never kissed butt in my entire life, which is probably why I am where I am. And I'm not one of these top of the mound prominent people. Because again, when you look at people who criticize me and say, oh, Phil was once this big guy in gaming and now he's a nobody. Yeah, but how did I get here? Right? Because I didn't play the game. I refused to fucking play the game. I just wanted to be myself. I wanted to do it by my own means. I didn't want to do these horrible things. I think they're horrible. You may not think they're horrible. I do. It kills me to think that there are people out there that literally all the content they put out is paid content and no one knows because they're stupid. Why would anyone right now have access to the fucking update for Street Fighter 6 already? Why would you have it a week and a half, 2 weeks early? It's a competitive fighting game and you're giving access to a certain group of people early. Does that make any fucking sense? No, but I bet the people who have it are making bank on it. That's what I mean. And it's a vicious cycle. It continues. It never ends. It will always be like this until we as viewers and consumers step up and stop accepting this as the norm and saying, wait a minute, at one point we have to collectively have some kind of a moral compass and say, this is gross, right? This is just not where we want gaming to go. We can't trust anyone anymore because the only people who get pushed forward as a voice are people who are being paid to say things. So because of that, we can never get an honest opinion on a game. And then you get games that come out and they're dog shit. And then, of course, as soon as the game comes out and it's dog shit, everyone's opinion flips and everyone, oh, that game's terrible. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course, because now you got to bandwagon it into the fucking 6 feet under because everyone's collectively saying it's bad. You can't still keep saying it's good now because now everyone says it's bad, right? And you go, oh, I had a review embargo. I couldn't tell you. It's such a bullshit fucking defense system, you know? And it's, I just don't get it. Again, when I started on YouTube, I was the hard worker, the guy who ran to the store to buy the game as soon as I could, come home, pop it in the console, record hours and hours of honest gameplay, get it on the internet. People loved me for that. I was the everyman gamer. That's what people liked about me. Now, there are no everyman gamers. There are the butt-kissing, elitist, you are the prioritized people because you lie to your audience constantly gamers. That's fucked up. And it's this simple. If you don't believe me, go read the fucking contract for Marvel Rivals. There's your answer. And that's probably not the first case that this has happened. This is just the first time someone finally had the balls to call it out and show the internet this is what's actually happening behind closed doors, and people are just too ignorant to realize it. You know? It's sad, but it's true. So, Marvel Rivals very well may be a great game. In fact, the people who are playing it and showing off gameplay are saying they genuinely like it, but is that because they can't actually be honest? Or is it because they're genuinely liking it, right? I don't know. But it looks interesting to me. If it ever goes into like an open alpha or open beta, if I could play it, maybe I'd like to check it out. I don't know if I could play it on the mini PC because it probably is graphically intensive. It's something that maybe would interest. I like Marvel. I liked Overwatch, right? So I would check it out. But right now, literally anyone who's playing that game is under an agreement. They cannot criticize the game. And if they do, they could lose their whole deal. So there you go. Just so you know. All right, that's our news for today. And